Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. Today for Tuesday, let's take a look at the lesson that's assigned for evening prayer from the book of Job. Now, we've been working our way for several weeks through the book of Job. We're getting near to the end. Job, after all of these terrible things have happened to him, the loss of family, the loss of children, the loss of his farm, his crops, and then the festering sores and everything on his body, and then his friends coming to him telling him it's his own fault for all of this happening, when in fact Job knows that he's righteous. And of course we know the backstory, that in fact Job is righteous. Job lashes out at God and says, God, you need to tell me this. I demand that you tell me what is going on here. And God finally answers. Job 38, beginning at verse number 1. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest, or who hath stretched a line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors, and then it brake forth as it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and break up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea? Or hast thou walked in search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare, if thou knowest all. Okay, so, here's God who speaks to Job. Job demands answers. And God's answer is basically, who are you? How can you demand anything of God, right? How can we actually demand anything of God? And so he lays it out, at least the narrator of the story lays out in God's word. For God, where are you when I did this? Where were you when this happened? Where were you when that happened? All of these things God is pointing out, and ultimately he's going to lead towards, and believe me, Job's friends aren't going to get off scot-free either. All these things are leading toward Job being satisfied with God being God and Job being Job. But we're not quite near that. So, of course, the answer is, where were you when all these things happened? You didn't exist yet. And compared to God, you're not. But God does have an answer for him. And the answer is Job's faithfulness. So, as I said, today is Tuesday. We're on to our regular schedule this week, thanks be to God. We'll have 12:15 Holy Communion, 4 o'clock evening prayer. So I hope you can join us in person. Come pray with us. Right? Come, especially Holy Communion at 12:15. Receive Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. Yeah, if you can't make it here, then pray with us on the live stream or on the replay. Pray for St. John's. Pray for your parish priest. Pray for your own parish if you're not a member of St. John's. And know that as we're praying for those who join us through these extraordinary means. And may God grant us all a Tuesday that is full of